All right, what's up, everybody? We're live here for week 12 of the Windshield Deep podcast, the voice of grassroots racing. We've got a special guest with us today, Mr. Anthony Alfredo, the winner of the K&N Pro Series East race this past, 2 weekends ago at South Boston. I'm Dylan Wilson with my co-host Landon Huffman, and today we're going to talk a little racing, a little short track racing, a little about the All-Star race and all that, because a lot of changes happen. I'm sure everybody's seen the new package there. So we kind of wanted to, get started with a little introduction of Mr. Alfredo here. I started at Hickory, and I know you raced some Legends cars, but you got, I seen you was with Lee Falk for a while, and then Junior Motorsports. So how did you get involved in racing?
Well, I grew up a race fan. My parents were always watching the NASCAR Cup Series races on TV and had gone to a few races, so I grew up watching it with them. And then I got really interested in the driving aspect of it. I ran go-karts and stuff for fun, just nothing serious, just local indoor track where you could go run. Just I know there's a few of those around here. Mm-hmm. So I did that and everything, but it really wasn't until 3.5 years ago when I was 15 that I started racing. I got my feet wet in a Legend car just to see if I was into it as much as I thought I would be and enjoyed it as much as I thought I would. And sure enough, that first lap was probably the most memorable one just because it was so much fun. And I did the adrenaline rush and all that, so it really stuck with me, and I wanted to see how far I could get with it because I really enjoyed it. So since then, I've enjoyed it more and more, and I had only ran about 12 Legend car races throughout the winter, which was down here at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Winter Heat Series, and then Orlando Speed World for the Winter Nationals. And then from there, I got the opportunity to race with Lee Falk Racing, as you mentioned. Ran limited late models for him for a year. The following year, I ran limited late models again with a few late model stock car starts, and then with Junior Motorsports last year full-time in the late model stock car division.
Heck yeah, so how old are you right now?
19.
19. And so 19 years old, and you have about 4 years of late full body stock car experience. So that's off to a good head start. Just named to the NASCAR Next class of 2018 as well. So a lot of good stuff going on for you here. And I guess we're gonna we named our own short track Next class last week, and that was pretty cool. We think it would be neat to do like all the guys that are coming up through the ranks, but we thought it'd be cool to see some of the 14, 15-year-olds that aren't really eligible for it, I guess, yet, that are racing limiteds and late models now to see,
and older people that were running late model stock stuff right now, so, Cars Tour, whatever.
That's cool that we're glad you're here, but we do have a lot to talk about. We're going to make it kind of quick tonight. We're on a limited schedule here, but I guess the first thing I'd like to talk about is the All-Star race. New package. They ran 160 miles an hour. That was crazy. I didn't know really what to expect. We talked about that package, on episode 4 with Clay Rogers, and then pretty much everything he said, they did.
They did.
So, like we said, it is the Windshield Deep podcast that evidently NASCAR listens to us.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they tuned into that one.
So anyway, they made a big spoiler, helped the downforce, which didn't look as bad as I imagined, but it is a little weird. It was awful big fin on there, and also put a big restrictor plate on it, which made them go about as fast as the dash car used to.
Yeah, so. Appearance-wise, they've ran the big spoiler before. Like 2 years ago, the Cup Series cars had large spoilers, almost as big as that. I mean, they didn't have the cuts in them like those did, but they had a large spoiler, and then they actually had a small Lexan piece that went around the top of the spoiler that made it even higher. You just couldn't see it unless you were up close to it. So that, I'm sure, is just an awkward change that we're not used to, but if they ran it every week, it would look normal. The other thing they did to the cars was the aero package on the front end. They added those divots in the left front and the right front on all the manufacturers, which is what the Xfinity Series did at Indianapolis. And I mean, I think all the downforce stuff they did obviously helped the racing, but the fact of the matter is, I mean, they looked like they drove like go-karts for one. They qualified around the very bottom of the racetrack. So to me, for a Sprint Cup car, I mean, I think it was a huge experiment for NASCAR, so I don't really think it was a bad thing for what they did it for the All-Star race. Definitely don't think we should go that slow in a points race or a Coke 600 or something of that nature, because for one, these are the premier car in NASCAR. This is the highest level that you can get to. These are supposed to be the best of the best, the cream of the crop. This is Sprint Cup Series or Monster Energy Cup Series racing. They don't need to be going 5 miles an hour faster than the Goodies Dash Series cars did in 2003. I mean, if you ran a late model around there without a restrictor plate, it would go faster than that.
I think that they could. I like the fact that they slowed them down. I think that a 1.5-mile race is going to be better if they slow them down a little bit. But like maybe go 180 or at least 180. I mean,
I still think they need to be the fastest car.
Yeah, the fastest car for sure.
The trucks and the Xfinity cars should not be faster than the premier level cars.
No, absolutely
But
not.
they don't need to be going 215 at the end of the straightaway. I don't think that's necessary. It's badass, but I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah.
I mean, for good racing, I think the downforce is good. You've got to add the downforce because there's several ways to look at it. If you take downforce away and you add a lot of horsepower, then you're out of the throttle longer, and
you can't race beside each other.
No, but the real drivers may rise to the top. But from a racing or from a marketing perspective, as a driver, that would obviously be what people would want. But from a racing standpoint and a marketing standpoint, you've got to have the cars running side by side and around each other. And I think because of that, you've got to add the downforce, and then you just have to find that middle ground with what you're going to do, restrictor plate wise or what have you, because they are fuel injected too, so they have the ability to cut engines back and that kind of thing. So
yeah. So what do you think what do you think would happen if they slowed every division down? You think if they slow, even if like just 1.5-mile stuff, like not necessarily on a short track or a super speedway, what if they slowed truck to Xfinity, and what if they put a restrictor plate on each one of them at 1.5-mile tracks, which I don't think the trucks really need it because they're already like
practically wide open at most of the 1.5.
So you don't really need to do the truck series, but I mean
the trucks have a crap load of downforce too, and they poke a big hole in the air.
Yeah. So if you think, I mean, what if they went? I guess they can't. It's going to be one or the other. They can't slow a Cup car down, and still be like, they can't slow a Cup car down, like just a little bit. Like it's not going to make that much of a difference. I don't think if they. What do they do at the end of the straightaway? Like 201 maybe at like.
Michigan, they're like 215.
Well, I mean, like at a 1.5-mile track.
They're still over 200 at the end of the straightaway.
Yeah, so they're like roughly 200 miles an hour. I don't think 195 or 190 is going to make much. Like the drastic. I mean, they went full swing. I mean,
195 wouldn't make that much of a difference, but if they had a bunch of downforce, it would. I mean, they still would be able to be in the throttle longer, and you'd be able to race closer around other cars. You're still gonna have an aero issue when you're going that fast.
But if they added downforce to their current package,
it'd go way too fast.
It would go 220.
Yeah, it'd go way too fast.
So basically, if they added, they just need a littler restrictor plate, I guess. At the end of the day, because I mean, they just slowed them down a lot. I think they could slow them down to 190.
And it would be a better show. Yeah.
I mean, it would feel like they're hauling ass, but they have so much downforce, they're able to almost go, not full throttle, but barely just burp it.
Another problem that I've seen with slowing the cars down, on TV, they look slow in qualifying for sure. In the race, you could tell, but you couldn't really tell, and everybody was racing around each other. But a lot of the fans at the racetrack really complained about how slow the cars looked on the racetrack. I mean, there was no like thrill factor from watching the cars, and I think that's a big thing, especially to in a day and age when we're trying to fill the grandstands anyways. If you take away that thrill factor of these Cup cars are going 200 at the end of the straightaway, that's what a lot of the maybe not all the fans or a majority of the fans, but a good many of the fans go to the racetrack because it's a different experience being that close to the race cars, and especially when they're hitting those speeds at the end of the straightaway. And if you take that away, I think that you're going to lose even more of the fans that are coming to the racetrack every week. So I think NASCAR's just got to factor that in. It's making better racing possibly, but you're also taking away a lot of the thrill factor. So
it's just you got to figure out which one. I mean, they're going to have to pick one, I guess.
Well, I mean, there's got to be a medium.
Yeah.
Learn from it for sure. But
it was a good race. The best car still won.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was neat that they did it that way. There's not going to be one specific solution that fits the bill for everything. They're just going to have to find a medium ground between a restrictor plate, the downforce, I mean, the good thing is we have 36 races in a year, so if they wanted to make a small change at a Atlanta or a Vegas or whatever, they have the ability to do that, and I think it, could be beneficial. But obviously, this was a huge swing, so it was fitting for something like the All-Star race.
So you've got how many more K&N races this year?
9 left.
9 left, and you've raced what, 4?
5 now,
including 2 twins, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, twins of South Boston.
And I asked you earlier if you had any road course races, and that's going to be different for you. You said you're going to go do some testing.
Yeah, actually, one of my marketing partners, Mechanic Shop North, is giving me the opportunity to go drive one of their road course SCCA cars. So I'm going to go do that to practice and get used to it.
And they're racing at New Jersey and Watkins Glen, you said?
That one I'm just going to go test at New Jersey.
Okay.
So that'll help me not only figure out the track, but just get used to making right-hand turns also.
Yeah, absolutely.
And being smoother and figuring out kind of the line around the track so that when we go back with the K&N car, it'll be a lot easier for me from the time we unload till the time we race.
So do they have to they power shift them down? Like when you get into a corner, or do they shift similar to like what a Cup car is going to be? Well, are they sequential still?
A K&N car?
Yeah, you would match revs.
Okay.
And without the clutch, power shift them. Okay. But in that SCCA car to drive, that'll be heel toe. You can't. Yeah, you don't want to be matching revs or jamming it in gear like that. But the K&N cars, you can.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that. I mean, I would assume that's a little intimidating, being that you've never ran a road course car. But the thing is you get to watch all these guys that's never raced road courses either, that get in an Xfinity car and go run a road course, and they run fine. So I think if you're talented enough to run an oval racetrack, I mean, as for any non-oval people in here, which is likely not to be here, but it doesn't seem like you would go from an oval to road course and transition good, whereas it's almost a harder transition to go to road course to oval, which is crazy to think about. I mean, you're just turning left the whole time, but
I think
it's a lot more than that than you think.
Yeah.
Even just from us driving.
Yeah.
Because you're racing against so many good drivers, and when you get to, I mean, I know there's a lot of good road course racers too. I'm not saying that you're not racing against good, but there's so little area for mistake on an oval as where a road course. I mean, you got enough gap. They don't necessarily dive in there and move you as much. I mean, if you make the slightest mistake, you lose 2 or 3 spots at any given oval track. So.
A couple of things with road course racing. For one, now we have the tool like iRacing to use. So it bridges the gap a lot better for someone like one of us 3 that don't have hardly any or none at all road course experience. So we can get on iRacing, and the majority of the racetracks are all in the sim. So if you get on there, you get the gist of the racetrack. You might not be necessarily the exact line, but you understand what corner's coming up next.
Yeah,
and
you get a big advantages from the visual.
Yeah, and I would say that, road courses are definitely more of a benefit on the sim than ovals. Visuals are really good on the sim, but the track drives completely different than the sim a lot of times, where the road course, I feel like there's only so much difference between what the road course is and what the sim is, because there's really not a whole lot to it as far as race and groove and stuff like that. You don't have any of the extensive banking to worry about or any of that kind of stuff. So I think that the sims bridge that gap for us. And then you also have to think why some oval drivers excel at road courses is the majority of the drivers in the series that they're racing at when they go to a road course are all oval drivers. So if somebody picks up on it quicker, then they're obviously going to run towards the front, because there might be some oval guys that are just really struggling.
Yeah.
But does the K&N, do we only have one?
We go to New Jersey first. That's after Memphis. I believe that is June 15th. And then later in the year, we're at Watkins Glen with the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series. That's a combo event weekend. So
to have 2 road courses, and the schedule's really short too. So to have 2 road courses in there, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, like
if you're running for championship, you got to go out there and have good runs. You can't throw those away for sure.
Yeah. So that's So he's got a lot coming up for him here. You gotta get ready for your next race is Memphis, you said?
Yeah, June 2nd.
Got Memphis coming up, then a road course race at New Jersey. So a lot of crazy different tracks you got to learn. So you better be on some iRacing, and you get to go test a couple cars, you said, as well. So that'll help out. I want to touch a little bit on who's racing this weekend. As far as which tracks, a couple tracks that I see here. Well, one is Charlotte Motor Speedway. Obviously, the Cup Series is there for the Coach 600, as well as the Xfinity Series. And on Thursday, the ARCA Series is there. So that's the first time in quite a few years that they've raced at Charlotte. How long has it been since they've raced Charlotte?
I have no idea. I feel like the last time they raced at Charlotte, somebody got hurt.
I think that was Blade Alexander when he passed away.
Really?
Yeah.
I believe that was the last one.
So anyway, the ARCA Series is racing on Thursday, and then at Charlotte, and then Concord Friday night. The Pass Series is racing, so that's cool. The Pass Series and the Southern Modified Series are both racing at Concord. Keen Sports racing on Friday night, and then the dirt track at Charlotte. World of Outlaws are there, so there's a lot of stuff going on in the Charlotte Concord area. That's pretty wild. I didn't know they went together.
600 weekend's always big. It's pretty cool to see all the other stuff come in. And did you mention Hickory?
No, I'm about to. I'm getting to. So that was all the Friday night stuff, and then Saturday we've got Hickory coming up, which me and Landon are both competing in. You're running late models. I'm going to run limited late models. Got a 100-lap late model stock race and a 50-lap limited race. So this is the first time they've actually run a 100-lapper this year.
We're not running twins?
No, it says on here late model stock 100.
That's crap.
So,
I figured we would run.
Your race weekend?
I figured we would run
plans
twins.
are out the window. So now you got to.
That sucks. I figured we'd run twins because since it rained out last week.
I don't know. He may have changed it, but on Speed 51 schedule it does say late model stock 100.
Well, darn it to heck.
And then who else is racing? Looks like South Boston, a late model race.
Let's talk about South Boston for a minute. So if you're a racer, South Boston honestly is the place to go right now. I mean, for what they're paying and what it costs to go race there, you could go down there and make money every single time as long as you're not tearing stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for the people in here that know what it costs to go to the racetrack at, say, your normal Saturday night show anywhere, that you're buying 4 tires at. When you go to South Boston, it's a 2 new, 2 scuff tire deal, and the tire bill is only about $500, give or take a couple of dollars here or there. Then you have your fuel, and then you have sign-in and your gas there. For us, it's like about a 3-hour drive. So it only cost us around, between $650 and $800 to go race there. Well, it pays $500 just to start in their late model stock deal. So that covers your tire bill right off the bat, and it pays $4,000 to win. So, I mean, honestly, I feel like they have the best deal around right now. And granted, you're going to go down there and race against some of the best competition in the Southeast, but right now, if it wasn't 3 hours away, I would go race there. But that's something that South Boston's doing really well at. And when we were down there for the K&N race, I forgot how nice South Boston's facility was. I mean, they've made a lot of improvements even since I raced there in 2016 with the grandstands and some other small things that they've done outside the racetrack that I didn't really notice. But it's an immaculate facility for a short track venue, and I would not be surprised if we don't see the Truck Series go there, within the next couple of years, especially with the big, push to go back to short track racing.
Yeah, it would be pretty sad if they don't go back. Honestly, that's kind of a given. They should be back there in no time. And speaking of going back to certain tracks, K&N schedule is pretty short this year. Is that did they shorten it this year from last year, or
no? It's the same. It's 14 races.
Yeah.
So
13 weekends, 14 races because of the twins.
It would be cool to see. We talked about it earlier a little bit about like seeing the K&N series at like a Hickory or a Green. They still race at Greenville?
No, they took that one out this year and added a second Loudon race.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, I guess, but it's. I mean, I understand. I mean, is it on the same weekend as the Cup Series, or is it
one of them is? I don't think both are.
Oh, so there's two Loudon. There's two Loudon races?
Yeah, they added a second one because they moved Greenville.
I don't get that.
Yeah, for a while they were running 2 Greenville races.
Yeah.
One at the start, one at the end.
It's kind of from a driver's standpoint, it's good to go to those places. You gain a lot of experience.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like obviously what ARCA does is really good. You can go to a lot of those Cup tracks and get experience, and it's still kind of one of the NASCAR levels that still goes to all the local short tracks and stuff. So it's
the only one.
Yeah, so it's tough when they add ones like that. And like I said, I think it's great from a driver's perspective as far as experience and everything, but supporting the tracks, there's definitely, I honestly just wish the season was longer, and maybe if it was, they could add some of those races, which I understand one of the biggest parts of that is obviously the economics of it, which is what put me in the series, but with what I have with my marketing partners. But I think to be able to go to a place like Hickory or maybe Myrtle Beach or something like that, if they gave enough sets of tires, it could be pretty neat. And
Hickory, Myrtle Beach, Nashville, New Smyrna's good. Pensacola would be cool. There's a lot of short track racing fans down south for the super late models, so I think a lot of guys that are in super late models down south would jump on an opportunity to run a K&N race there, like for say Bubba Pollard or somebody like that. So that's it would be cool to see them go to more. And I know the K&N series does go to some short tracks, but I think you could really make that just like a premier. Like if you make that series like what all late model guys want to make it to, instead of it, just kind of
it just costs too much
going to some track. Yeah, but still, just being like you want that event to be like. I feel like it would be a little more popular had they go to Hickory and Greenville Pickens, and maybe not. I mean, one Loudon race, okay, but
they used to go to Tri-County.
Yeah, Tri-County. I mean, just all sorts of tracks like that.
One thing, even from a fan perspective, Landon saw it since you're spotting for it. We went to South Boston. They obviously get a great field of cars for late model races in their local deal, which brings out fans. But when we were there, it was just K&N and late models, and it was packed. And even if there was opening on the grandstands, there's people flooded all the way from turns 1 and 2 all the way around the racetrack, 3 and 4 back to the fence. And then you go to Bristol, which, as I mentioned before, is great experience for the driver, but because it's the same weekend as Xfinity and Cup, those are obviously the races people want to see. So the K&N race, there really wasn't many people there.
Yeah. They used to go to South Boston as well, as you mentioned there. Or not South Boston, Bowman Gray. I mean, that was always a lot of controversy at that race.
You took a pit practice car to Bowman Gray. Yeah, that was back when they had the sheet metal cars. I remember that was when Dad was managing X Team Racing, and they would always take a pile there. Everyone took a pile of crap there because you never, or if you had a body that was beat up, that's the car you took there, because then you had to put bodies on it about every week. If you ran into somebody, at least now with the flange fit stuff, it helps with that. If you hit the fence, you don't instantly have to put a right side on unless you're Anthony. He's pretty good at pretty good at destroying bodies.
Bodies worked well for us in qualifying.
He's pretty good at destroying bodies, but no, I'm just aggravating him.
Speaking of that, we do have something to give away from Mr. Alfredo here this week. And we also have to reveal our winner for this. We're going to do that after the break. But if you stay tuned, we are going to announce the winner of this. Like I said, it's not too late. If you liked our page or post and shared it and tagged 2 friends, then you're eligible. This is a signed hat by Robert and Doug Yates. Roush Yates hat, along with a Richard Petty diecast. It's the Wilkesboro Farewell Tour car. They made one for each track. This one happens to be the Wilkesboro track. As you know, if you watched last week, I grew up there, so a lot of things like this are still up in the attic. So I have a lot of stuff to give away like that. We're gonna keep doing that kind of thing. I think it's fun to do and helps people get involved with us a little bit more. And Anthony has we'll say that, but we got something to give away from Anthony. A piece of equipment, I guess we could say. But so let's move on to the Cars Tour. The short track nationals, I should call it.
Dylan's always bragging about that points lead, but I got a 1-up on him.
He did. He got a point. He got 3 points this week for having Lee Pulliam win the super race.
That boy Lee.
Yeah, Lee got the W, and Lane, who was my dark horse, which would have been a 5-pointer for me, he wound up in second because the race was rain shortened. Evidently, they yarded the field.
Almost had it.
Yeah, yarded the field, and it started raining. And I seen that it was kind of a controversial call because, like Josh, of course, he was running probably 3rd or 4th or whatever, 5th or something, and he said that it quit raining very shortly afterwards, but they still called it. So. So that sucks. I think they only got 60 laps. I think 60-ish, 64. I think I read.
Yeah, 64.
It was like 60 something laps, and so that was that's unfortunate. I mean, it seems like every time there's a race at Bristol, there's rain. I don't know what it is, but there's always some kind of rain when it comes to Bristol. It also rained my race out at Hickory, so rain sucks. But anyway, back to the car store. Lee Pulliam won a rain-shortened event, which was still a win. Lane Riggs finished second. Didn't really get a chance to watch much because I thought that my subscription with the carstore.tv was good with that, but evidently it's a different deal. So I didn't get a chance. Plus, we was out to dinner that night anyway, so that kind of sucked. Didn't really get to watch much of it. But did any of you get to watch much of the Super Race or the Pro Late Model race?
All-Star race, so I missed Bristol Late Model stocks.
Yeah, I watched All-Star race, so I didn't pay really a whole lot of attention to it. I did see Joe Graff's.
Oh, yeah,
that was Friday, I think.
Yeah, that was crazy.
No, that was Saturday. Joe Graff's basically body obliterated.
Yeah, that was crazy. We'll play that later. His whole body ripped off the car and just caught at the right. He was.
That was crazy.
I don't know if he was leading.
I may have tore off some body panels. I never tore off every single one at once.
Yeah.
I got a topic real quick about short track nationals. The street stocks are not allowed to have spotters. What in the hell is this?
Yeah, I don't know, dude.
Why are they trying to kill these guys? I mean, they're just happy to be at Bristol, and then they tell them they can't have a spotter. One car spun out, like running second, battling for the lead, and a dude like 25th, 3/4 of the track back, come flying around the corner, T-boned him, and destroyed it.
Which is not even, I mean, you can't see.
No.
Yeah, in one sense, unless you drive there, I always thought people were exaggerating when you said you can't see when you get down to the corner, but you can't.
Yeah.
Your spotter will tell you the wreck in front of you, even with us, and you're like trying to look up, and you're just looking at the roof of the car. You just see nothing but the racetrack right in front of you because the corners are so sharp and angled.
Usually in a race car, when you get down the center of the corner, you're looking like out the bottom of the left front of the windshield at the yellow line usually. Like that's your target point. Well, at Bristol, your target point's in the very top corner of the windshield because of all the banking, and you're looking forward. But technically, you feel like you're looking down, but you're not. You're looking out the top windshield of the
I would imagine
top corner of the
trucks
windshield.
have a little bit more of a view, being the roof's so high.
Yeah, they do, but still.
Which that's all you've ever ran there, correct?
Yeah, I didn't get to run a late model or anything there, but it still feels weird. You don't realize you're doing it until you like stop and think about what you're doing, and then it does feel. I mean, you can't see forward because the corner's so banked and sharp.
Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate that they're not allowing the street stock guys to have spotters. I don't.
Did the modifieds have them this year? Because I don't think they did last year, and that's when that big wreck happened when that guy flew over like those 3 cars that were wrecked. I didn't think they did.
Yeah,
either.
I remember that happening, but
yeah.
Why? I mean, I've never heard of the asphalt racing division not having spotters. I mean, since 1980. So
it's whatever that series is. They don't allow spotters. But I mean, if you're going to let them race at Bristol, I think that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah,
from a safety point of view, that
dangerous.
is just stupid.
But anyway, super late models. Raphael Lassard won the race, so I'm sure Brandon Setzer was cheering him on. So
wasn't very good.
It was a stout field, man. I mean, honestly, well, it was an aggressive field. I think it was Lassard, Stephen Nassy, Steve Wallace,
Jake Crum.
I think Jake had motor issues.
Yeah, I saw that. He was running up front when that happened.
Yeah,
Which
that would have been a good point stay for me.
That should have went caution free.
Yeah,
he almost won it last year too.
Yeah, he about ran Bubba down. And then also, something else big happened. Oh, did you see the picture of was it? I think it was Nassy. He was on the apron passing. It was cool, but anyway, evidently it stayed pretty clean. There wasn't much drama from that, so that's cool. I guess I'd like to see Brandon racing, but oh well.
He probably wouldn't have went to Bristol anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, he went last year. Remember
and destroyed it.
Something broke first lap.
That was first lap on the racetrack.
Yeah. I doubt he would have went back.
Something was messed up from the race before. I think he thought.
Huh. That's pretty.
That's frustrating. Didn't even get to make a lap up to speed.
So, I mean, there's a lot of big crown jewel races in late models now. You know, I mean, they got Bristol, Martinsville, Myrtle Beach, and then not to mention super late model crown jewel events, which is nowadays Bristol, Kern County, Pensacola.
You have the Thanksgiving Classic for late model stocks. It's Southern National.
I would even add some of the car store races this year, like the season opener.
Yeah.
Tri-County, I paid $10,000 to win. There's quite a few now.
Carteret's,
Yeah.
late model races.
I've heard rumors
paid
about
$15,000.
Orange County. I think we heard from a pretty credible source at Hickory that
Oh yeah.
Orange County may be a $10,000 to win late model stock event. So
Change of
change of
big
big.
plan. Yeah.
So that's I don't know if that's true or not, but we did hear from a pretty credible source that could be a thing. And you pay big money to short track racers, then there's a chance to Richmond as well is also a late model and limited
Pass series.
Yeah, limited late models are racing at Richmond.
And street stock.
And Denny Hamlin raced this year as well.
Hopefully street stock
Old boys,
spotters.
I don't know if they got
old boys can
spotters.
see a little better there. I mean, Bristol's a little more dangerous. At least Richmond, you have room to react.
Yeah, I think you can see a little better there, but still, I think you deserve to have a spotter. But evidently they don't mind it, because they do it anyway. They had a pretty good amount of cars. So, have you ever ran supers?
Only once 2 years.
I ran one race at. It was actually a
Thanksgiving Classic at Southern National, but that race there was only 9 cars.
there.
Really?
Or 12, something like that.
Wow.
So it wasn't really. I never really got to run in any big one, which I wish I did, because it was that one race I ran. It was definitely fun to drive.
I feel like do you feel like super late models are a better transition going to K&N series? Or do you feel like if you'd never raced late models or super late models, say you had to pick one, say, look, Anthony, you've got to race one of these for a year, and next year you're going to run K&N and Truck Series. Which one would you pick?
Me personally, I would pick late model stock cars just because there's a lot of differences with the super late model. Like even just transitioning from the late model stock to that was I raced that for Leaf Hawk Racing, so I think it was my first year with them I actually did that. Or second. So when I made that transition, I noticed the difference. It's first of all, it's rack and pinion, not a regular steering box. So it's you have a whole lot less wheel in it when you're turning into the corner. And then it's also a straight rail chassis, not a perimeter chassis. So they're a lot lighter. They just steer completely different. And in the horsepower, I'd say from a horsepower standpoint, it helps the transition just because late model doesn't have near as much. But as far as the car itself, I think, for me at least, it was a smoother transition.
Absolutely. And I ran a pro late model at the Snowflake one time, and that was, I don't know, I mean, it didn't really compare at all to, a late model stock. And I'd only ran limiteds and like 2 or 3 late model races with a Hickory little motor, with little bit of horsepower, one of the ones you grenaded. But
Yeah.
I was having the same issues, the valve springs were just not enough for what kind of.
No, that was huge.
So anyway, I ran a pro late model, and so it's a straight road. Everything's the same as the super essentially, except for the motor. You're running a crate motor, which we were way behind motor wise and stuff. And they've got a chip rule and everything, so you're hitting the chip like it's crazy. I mean, they've got I think it's a 6,800 chip rule or 6,700, maybe less than that. And a gear rule as well. You had to run the same gear and same chip as everybody else, and we'd be, all the way down the back stretch, it seemed like. So
I remember one time we were at
you just go in
Hickory.
a corner like this, and I mean it's still fun, but I would like to run a late model stock at Pensacola. I think that would be fun, or a super late model with a lot more horsepower. That would be probably a little better. But
Yeah, at Hickory one time we were there. It might have been for like the first car store race that I ran there, but AJ Frank was there running a super late model. And he was talking to me and Dad, and he told us that there's no comparison. He's ran perimeter cars all his life, and that guy was, built that super late and asked him to drive it. He said, like, first laps at Hickory, he smacked the outside wall at the start-finish line because the separation between you and the outside of the car is a lot different from a late model stock. So, it was a lot harder for him to transition.
it is a weird cockpit, I will say. It's odd.
It was a lot harder for him to transition because
You
it's
even sit a little bit lower.
Yeah.
too.
not
feel like
something
you're
he's
in a
done
dirt
all his
car.
life. Where, I mean, I guess for the kids it's probably a little different because they're constantly transitioning. Drivers nowadays are. I mean, you jump in something all the time, something different, especially the kids that are, progressing through the ranks pretty quickly. But for somebody like AJ, where he, worked all his life in certain divisions, whether it be Hooters Pro Cup or whatever, he never really ran a straight wheel car until this time in his career, and it was a lot harder for him to make that transition.
You talking about AJ Frank?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I thought so. I didn't hear the start of that, but yeah. So anyway, I mean, there's a lot of crown jewel races. What if there was a separate? What if they kind of came together in a way and had their own point system? I mean, I know that kind of it may take away a little bit from the actual win at Martinsville or Myrtle Beach, but what if they had like a deal where they had like a 5-race deal where they promoted it as the best of the best? So you got like Bristol, then Richmond, or I guess Bristol, Richmond, Martinsville, Myrtle Beach. I mean, and if there was something, one of the car store races was.
Isn't there the Triple Crown, which is the Hampton Heat?
Yeah.
No, not Martinsville. What are the other two on it?
South Boston.
One South Boston, Langley, and
I don't know what the other. It might be Martinsville.
I thought it was.
At one point, there was a lot of, but I think that.
But like you're saying, I think
it would be cool to have like.
more.
I mean, hell yeah, it'd be awesome without a point system to go win them all. But maybe it would be good for the fans and have something to follow and be a really good promotional deal. Don't have to pay anymore. Don't do anything like that, or maybe do a bonus for the championship. But I mean, that would be a cool deal. I think that'd bring in a lot more. I think people like.
It is Martinsville.
Yeah.
Martinsville, South Boston.
Yeah.
Langley.
So people like Lee Pulliam ran Martinsville and Myrtle Beach, but maybe that would. Well, now he's racing some cool stuff, but maybe that would have him race. Like a couple years ago, he'd have never ran. He probably wouldn't have never ran Bristol.
No.
He wouldn't. And he won.
Wouldn't ran Hickory.
So yeah, he wouldn't have ran Hickory. So maybe I know that you really. I don't think series likes to sanction together, but it would be cool. I think to do like a deal where it's like a Triple Crown bonus or a 5-crown bonus or something like that. That would be like the champion at the end of that. And you only get it's like kind of like F1 points or something. You only get points if you're in the top 5 or something or
you
top
see a lot
10.
of stuff like that in dirt racing. I mean, I feel like there's a lot more touring divisions
absolutely.
in dirt than there
there's
are
way more.
than there are asphalt.
Well, more successful ones.
Yeah.
There's a few, but there's only.
A couple big ones in the like all ranks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like a lot of them have dwindled, and now
There's really only one.
Cars, yeah. Pretty much cars touring.
I mean, you see some limited late model touring divisions come and go, but I feel like they never really catch wind and stay there for a while.
Yeah.
There's always issues that are present. I mean, I think probably the one that had the biggest run was Southeast Limiteds, which they're still somewhat around, but I just don't know. They don't have like a season.
I don't know if they even really have a series now. I think it's more that people just adapt to their rules.
And they just do races, yeah.
Yeah.
Or like they host races, but
Like they host the Myrtle Beach Limited race, I believe. So
Yeah,
I mean-
they still do that the week before the Myrtle Beach 400.
Mhm.
They call it, was it the 250 or something they call it?
yeah,
I
we might
think.
have to do that this year. I've never got to race in Myrtle Beach, so if everything goes well, that would be kind of neat to go and run that race. But another there's
let's go to break.
yeah, let's do a. We're gonna go to a quick break, just a few minutes here, and we'll be right back. Won't be going very long. Got a Q&A coming up, a few more topics, so get your questions riled up for Mr.
Giveaway winner.
Yeah, giveaway winners and new giveaway announced. So get your questions ready for us two idiots and Mr. Fast Pasta here. So we will be right back after a few. What do they say on TV? A few quick messages. So not messages, but we'll be back. All right, back from break here. Again, this is episode 12 of the Windshield Deep podcast with Anthony Alfredo as the guest today. We was talking a lot about the K&N series and short tracks and stuff earlier. I wonder if ARCA series merging with NASCAR's K&N series, and well, pretty much by NASCAR buying them, we assume that's what that means. What do you think that'll transpire to?
I think it'll provide opportunity for the K&N Pro Series to maybe go back to those tracks you were mentioning, some like the Myrtle Beaches, the Greenville Pickens, or some places like that, because if they're two distinct series as of now, and the K&N Pro Series is trying to go to some of those NASCAR Cup Series tracks, maybe when they merge, ARCA will remain the series that runs on those tracks, and K&N will remain how it was a few years ago when it was just a NASCAR level that competes at all those local home tracks. So I'm curious to see where that leads. I think nothing's going to change until 2020, right? So yes, 2019 is going to remain the same, but we'll see what happens in 2020. They'll probably announce before that what they have planned, or some of the rules at least. The cars are so similar now that they're both on radial tires and the weight and all that. It's pretty much just the motor is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
So probably find a motor rule and run with one of them. Hopefully the Elmore, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, the spec motor that the K&N series uses now, it's about run its course. I mean, it's been there since Dad was involved in the series back when DiBenedetto and Coleman Presley were driving for him in 2010, 2011. And, I mean, usually you have a motor, it doesn't stay that long. I mean, that's, going on 8 years now. So I feel like it's probably due a change. Plus, you just have to look at the health of the series in general. I mean, I think this is a attempt by NASCAR to somewhat revitalize the K&N Pro Series, because if you look at it, ARCA is, for the most part, on the come up again. I mean, the amount of competitive cars every week is growing. In the past 2 or 3 years, it's been 14, 15 competitive cars every single week, and sometimes more. That's at minimum, and they're having fields of no less than 25 cars or so everywhere they go. Where the K&N series is honestly struggling right now. I mean, when we went to Langley, we only had 14 or 15 cars, 14 really. Well, we had 15 start, but and then we go to South Boston, and we have 17 there.
I think it was 18 started the first race. 17
or 18. So, I mean, if you look at it as a NASCAR touring division, that's probably, that's not very good. Like when we were at Langley, and they only had 14 cars, I went back and looked at those 2010, 2011 days, and
sending people home at some point.
Yeah, at the big tracks, and there was only, they had no less than 22 cars, I think was the smallest car count that year, and that was at like Greenville. So the series has definitely took a hit, in the recent years, but I think a lot of it comes from the lack of need for the K&N Pro Series, because a lot of these kids that have a significant amount of money that are 14, 15, well, they can run a truck when they're 16 years old now, so there's not a whole lot of use for the K&N Pro Series if they can afford to make that jump all the way to a truck.
Or if they can afford to run ARCA, which
yeah.
getting
so you can do the same
a whole
thing.
10 more races or 8 more races, and they get to go in mile and a half and super speedways if they're old enough.
Yeah, and they live pit stops with ARCA, which is something I don't think K&N should do anyways.
No.
That's another.
I think the radial tire was a great switch.
Yeah.
I feel like that revived some of it. We went to New Smyrna and had almost just under 30 cars. I think it was 25 28 or something. Bristol had about the same. So that was good to see. Like you mentioned, Langley was down. It was more than last year. So maybe that's a good sign. But obviously, if it's all merging or whatever opportunities await with NASCAR acquiring ARCA, maybe it'll change and maybe both will be good.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think it'll be good regardless. I don't think it's going to hurt either one. I mean, I think as long as NASCAR doesn't try to change a lot of what ARCA is doing, because I think ARCA is what ARCA has in place right now with their systems and procedures and that kind of thing, for the most part, get the job done. So as long as that doesn't change, I feel like it's going to continue to be a successful series. It'll just be interesting to see if NASCAR combines the two or works out some form. Honestly, I could see, well, I mean, we have the East and West series now, but ARCA's predominantly like Midwest and somewhat up north. and Hooters Pro Cup used to do the North-South, so I feel like there's somewhat of a possibility that they could figure out a way to combine ARCA, the West and the East, into 2 series and kind of merge the two. That way there's
regional.
Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. But definitely the motor deal is going to have to change, I feel like, in order to make them both universal.
I mean, what do you think that, being that there's, like you said, if there's someone with enough don't you feel like they should maybe step down the K&N series eventually? Like, and make the ARCA series like the more of the transition series and do K&N like a glorified late model series? Or
no, because the cost is so high. I mean, you've got to make the costs.
So then what's the point of having 2? Or are they, I mean, if they merge them, are they going to switch it to where they run super speedways, or are they going to take the super speedways out of it? Or
I think they got to at least keep ARCA as now the short track championship. So they got to do something like that, because a lot of these kids who are getting in are too young to even run at the super speedways or the mile-and-a-half. So if they can still have something to run for in the long run throughout the season, like, if the season's 25 races, if they could run at least 10 to 15 and be eligible for some sort of short track championship or some award they can compete for, maybe that would help if they merge. But if they merge the way it is now without doing something like that, you couldn't run for a championship or anything, which would ultimately technically make you a part-time driver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's a tough choice, I guess. I mean, they've got their work cut out for them as far as what they're going to do with the K&N and the ARCA merge eventually, but we still have the Cars Tour to watch, so have no fear. Anyway, another thing I want to touch base on real quick is the national championship standings, and I've been paying a little bit of attention to it. Right now, Philip Morris has a pretty commanding lead.
He also has 3 more starts than everyone else. So
yeah, he's raced at Myrtle, Langley, Dominion, and Southern National. So he's got 4 different racetracks, 14 starts, 9 wins, 11 top 5s. So he's got a pretty commanding lead right now over Alan Lawless, I guess. I think they got his name backwards there. I'd assume his name is not Lawless Allen. If it is, that's the coolest damn name I have ever heard in my entire life. But either way, that's a cool last name. Jagger Jones, that's a cool name too. Damn. So these are obviously West guys, Irwindale, Kern County. So these 2 guys are both in second, third, with 5 wins and 2 wins. Then you got Sam Mayer. That's cool. He's got 10 starts, no wins, but a lot of top 10s and 5s.
Trey Gibson's already ran 13 races. That's crazy.
Everybody else is in the single digits pretty much races wise. Kind of surprising. No, there's Justin Carroll. He's got 9 starts, 2 wins. Which I guess both of those wins are at Hickory from the 2 twin races this past weekend, or 2 weekends ago. Ryan Millington has 3 wins, but only 7 starts, so I guess that's what has him back a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. National championship stuff looks pretty much the same as it always does. You got Keith Rocco, Philip Morris, which should be cool, I guess, for Philip to go get this will be his 5th or 4th?
5th.
5th, yeah. 5th.
Record tying. All-time tying.
Yeah.
What is Hallie Deegan racing?
It's Haley Deegan.
Haley Deegan, whatever.
She races super late models out west.
I think she's running another one this weekend.
I didn't know she was running supers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
they
talking
say
to
she's
her.
pretty good, man.
She runs K&N West and East.
She seems to be the real deal. Which Brian Deegan's, he's a cool dude. So hopefully, she definitely got some good backers and stuff. So maybe she'll be, I'm sure she'll work her way up over the next couple of years for sure, and be there. Is she still part of the NASCAR Next deal, or is that last year?
Yeah, she's in it for her 2nd year now.
Okay,
I was actually
cool.
talking to her. She said she's racing practically every weekend this year, because
Wow.
whenever
That must be
K&N's,
nice.
she's not running a K&N race, she's running a super late model or something like that.
That's
so
awesome. Yeah, so
Speaking of women,
what else we got here? We got another woman up here?
no, but there's been some talk about including the Danica Patrick in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. What do you think about that?
I think weird pause, but I think she deserves to be mentioned as the greatest female NASCAR driver. There's also been about 5 of them. Cup Series drivers, or 3 or 4, whatever.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think she's got a place in the Hall of Fame, not for a long time.
Not when you look at some of the people that haven't been
Aren't
inducted
in it
yet.
yet.
Yeah.
Okay, Ricky Rudd is
Yeah.
not in the Hall of Fame, and you're going to put Danica. I mean, so nothing against her. I mean, she's
She's
was
hit a
great
lot
for
of
the sport.
hit a lot of milestones.
She advanced the sport forward, bringing a lot of new fans. If she would have won a race or
Been competitive.
been remotely competitive weekly, I think there's a good conversation for her to be in it
Yeah.
within the next 10 years. But as of now, I don't see her being in it within the next 40.
No.
So that's kind of a stupid question. I don't see why that's even an article, but nothing against women driving. I think there's a lot of great women driving. I think Haley Deegan is going to be really good, but I don't think Danica. I mean, what puts her in a category that makes her more deserving of a Hall of Fame bout? I mean, if Mark Martin just got in the Hall of Fame, then why should Danica be getting it anytime soon? But honorable mention for sure as one of or probably the best female driver for sure. She did get a Daytona 500 pole, but your average Labrador Retriever could do that if he had a good enough car. but all jokes aside, man, that's I mean, I guess that's a touchy subject. But how can I mean, what do you think? You asked a question. Damn,
I mean,
put me on the spot.
I think you covered it. I don't know. I like you said. I think she's she's hit a lot of milestones, brought a lot of.
Yeah, he said if they made a female exhibit, maybe.
Yeah, if they
Absolutely.
she's brought a lot of new eyes to the sport. I think she has been good for the sport. I mean, I think it's honestly, I hate that she's leaving the sport because I feel like there's a void there now. We got so accustomed to having that female presence
She's
at
a
the
tough
racetrack.
old bird too. She hit the shit out of the wall a lot.
Yeah, she hit the shit out of the wall a lot, and she got pissed a
Tough
lot.
old bird for sure.
Yeah.
Like old Chase Elliott said after she wrecked at Kansas last year, and she hit the hell out of the wall and like bad when Art got hurt.
Yeah.
He said, "Well, she's a tough old bird. I'll give her that." I always thought that was hilarious, but yeah.
I don't know. I don't think she deserves a spot in the
That's
Hall
a good
of Fame
point, though. He
right
said if
now,
they had
but-
like a female exhibit that showed diversity as far as
Maybe,
sexes.
yeah, she definitely deserves an exhibit in the Hall of Fame. She shouldn't be an inductee in the Hall of Fame, but there's a lot of exhibits in the Hall of Fame. I mean, my dad has a Goodies Dash Series trophy in the Hall of Fame,
Yeah, I
being the
think
last.
something to do with my grandpa's in there as well.
Yeah,
and there should be a female driver exhibit. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
that's good.
I think that's
a good thing for
perfectly
the
fine.
sport.
But yeah, not an inductee. Maybe far in the future. But
Yeah.
I don't know. You got to
It'll
think
be a
there-
while.
far in the future, but you also have to think there's a lot. I mean, there's going to be a lot of stuff happen between now and then too. So I feel like that just continues to be pushed farther and farther back. Plus, who's to say there's not going to be another female come along that actually is competitive week in and week out
Yeah.
and competing for a win? So
And speaking of NASCAR Hall of Fame, why do you think there's modified drivers like Richie Evans in there? And also, who was just inducted? Why can't I think of his name right now? But another modified driver. But why do you think there's modified drivers in there and no dash guys or late model stock drivers or any other type of series in that regard? Do you think modifieds were just more popular back then? And
I don't know.
Wonder what the holdback on that is.
That's a weird subject too, because I think the Dash Series deserves its, glory when it comes to the Hall of Fame or what have you. But I mean, Richie Evans is passed away.
Yeah.
I think that obviously plays into it a little bit. But I mean, Richie was a very iconic modified driver. I mean, everyone knew who Richie Evans was, and he won a lot of races. And I think that his on-track pedigree obviously is what lifted him to the Hall of Fame. But I think with, him no longer being with us, I think that obviously plays into the whole Hall of Fame inductee part of it. I think right now it's a fine line when you're trying to put touring division drivers into the Hall of Fame, because there's so many Cup guys that I think are deserving that haven't been inducted yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I think eventually there's going to be a time and place for a Goodies Dash driver or a K&N Pro Series driver that's cut their teeth in the series for a long period of time or something of that nature. But I think it's just going to take some time because, I mean, the NASCAR Hall of Fame is still a very new attraction. And, you know, it's not like we're the NFL Hall of Fame and we've been here for 40 or 50 years.
Yeah. So they're still getting all the flagship guys, you know, in there. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that, I mean, Jack Roush isn't in there yet. I mean, he's probably going to be this year, but, you know, Richard Childress and Richard Petty Richard Childress and Rick Hendrick are in it. I wonder how, well, I mean, they do have a lot of championships, but Jack Roush is right there with them. I mean, I mean, he should be in it. If them two are in it, Jack Roush should be in it. I mean, I can't say that I don't fly with that, but yeah, so got to ramble a lot and talked about a lot of stuff tonight. Kind of jumped a few subjects and all that. Got to meet Mr. Alfredo here.
This week was there wasn't a whole lot happening this week.
Yeah, I mean,
not a lot of big topics. I mean, the past couple of weeks we've had like real hard-hitting topics to talk about, so it's been a lot easier, and we've had a lot more interaction because of that. Where this week, Anthony's really the only big topic we had, so it's a lot harder to, you know, create a full show without having all those little side topics to talk about too. So didn't have a lot to talk about, but I mean, we talked about a good bit, so I feel like that was a success. Yeah,
I mean, we have fun with it regardless, so. We're going to be on next Tuesday night, of course, at 8:30. We're going to still do a Q&A after this, but we're going to go ahead and
we need to do the giveaway.
Yeah, well, we'll do that on the
Q&A.
On the Q&A deal after this. But, yeah, so if you're listening to the audio version right now, you are you're missing out on the giveaway we're doing, and Anthony's about to give something else away that will actually be picked next week. But anyway, we're going to random draw here in just a second, but thanks for joining us. It wasn't a very crazy drama-filled week, but we still had quite a bit to talk about. We got to talk a lot about the K&N series. Got to meet Anthony. Got to hear me and Landon talk a lot of junk about random stuff. So, what's new? But anyway, got to thank all of our great sponsors: Fox Outdoor, Carolina Simworks, Dexter's Detailing, Blondie's Restaurant, One Designs Wraps, and Carolina Custom Golf Carts. If you want to reach out to us, be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Windshield Deep, as well as on SoundCloud if you want to hear the audio versions. All of our on-demand past broadcasts are on Facebook and YouTube. So either one, you can watch on there if you want to see the video, if you want to see our pretty faces. So I highly recommend that. But if not, keep listening on the audio. You guys got any final remarks? Or?
I was like, thank you guys for having me. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity, and I had fun.
Well, it's not much of an opportunity, but we sure do like to hang out with you.
Go win another race, and we'll do it again.
Go win some more races, man. We're pulling for you. You got to meet some short track racing fans tonight that may not have known you before this, and now they get to pull for you. Got you a driver to pull for in the K&N series now, and hopefully moving forward, get to pull for him some more. So.
I think he's gonna get the. Well, I ain't gonna say that. Never mind. I don't know if that's out yet or not.
I need some. I need some free T-shirts eventually, so just saying.
Yeah,
we're working on some
merch,
some merchandise. It'd be cool to at least get some hats made.
Absolutely.
The only problem was, I've been fortunate enough to obviously keep moving up, but since I'm doing it so quickly, it hasn't been worth getting anything graphic-wise made besides a logo or something.
Yeah.
So probably still just stick with the logo for now, but it'd be cool to do some graphic tees and do some giveaways with that stuff as well.
I think One Designs needs to make a pasta bowl.
Yeah, that would be cool. Fast pasta.
I'll run that next to the name on the roof.
Again.
Dude, Trevor Townsend would be so pumped.
Yeah, he's watching
He
right
wants
now.
you to put Fast Pasta on the roof, so
that would be
Trevor, cool. The closest you will get is a pasta bowl next to the name.
No.
That could be big.
I still...
Let's spell it in like a noodly font.
No.
Big if true.
I'll still stick with the name on the roof.
Yeah.
A noodle font.
I get enough of the emojis sent at me. That's good enough for me right there.
Anyway, thanks for listening to the audio version. We will be back with you guys next week, Tuesday at 8:30. But as always, we're not done with you Facebook and YouTube people yet. So now's about the time we start doing Q&A. So go ahead and send in your questions. And by the way, who do you think should be in the Hall of Fame that has it? Any short track guys?
Bob Presley.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a good one. Bob Presley. Any other short track people you think should be the inaugural short track non-modified guy that should be in the Hall of Fame?
Dylan's still got to make a graphic for our short track next, so we can do that, and little decals to give to people that made it, so they can slap it on their late model and it look cool.
That's true. I'm gonna just go sticker slap people.
Yeah,
can you
I would.
maybe manage that for us next time you go to a race? Just go stick a Windshield deep sticker on all sorts of drivers' cars.
Yeah, man, I'm down.
Good. Just we're running out of marketing money. Our budget was $3 last week. Now it's 57.
Dwindled. Yeah.
57
Got me
cents.
running around.
Jared Harmon's got a question. He says, "Who's the 600 picks?" I'm gonna go out on a limb here. This one's gonna be tough. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna happen or not, but probably Kevin Harvick.
Damn.
Are you serious?
That's
Dude,
tough.
I'm surprised you chose that one.
Wow.
I don't know. There's no way it's gonna happen.
That's a good dark horse pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you can say he's definitely a.
Definitely a dark horse.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Nah. Well,
Landon Castle.
Landon Castle. How about who's gonna win Charlotte?
Carl Long.
Good chance. Carl Long might be there.
Good chance.
Yeah, Carl Long. Man, I think that this week, I'm not gonna pick a name, but I think a Chevrolet wins this weekend. Now I'm ready to see a Chevrolet get a win. So
JJ.
I was
Which
gonna say
Chevrolet?
JJ, but I'm leaning towards JJ. I'd like to see Jimmy.
I feel like he's due
He
a.
almost won it last year, but he ran out of gas, and Austin
Yeah.
Dillon beat him.
Yeah, he's due a win. That you can't keep Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus in the shadows for very long.
He hasn't won in over a year now, which is crazy.
I have a feeling that when he does get that win, it'll be one of those breakthrough deals.
Yeah,
Like
it's gonna be
last year when he
nasty.
won Dover, he went ahead and won 3 races in a row. Or 3 races in a row leading up to Dover. Las Vegas, Dover, and
Yeah.
what was the third one? I forget,
Bristol.
but
He won Bristol last year.
yeah, it was Las Vegas, Bristol, and Dover.
Do you
so.
think Jimmy gets 8?
Not this year. But I'm not counting him out yet.
I'm talking for throughout the rest of his career.
Oh
do
yeah,
you think
I
he
think
ends up with 8 championships?
I think he does.
Really? What about you, Anthony?
I'd like to see it happen. It's hard to say. It seems like the switch Chevrolet's made this year, they've maybe been fine-tuning some things. It seems like
Yeah.
they've had a couple good runs, but not like we've
Got a
seen
little
them in the
behind,
past.
but it
Yeah,
happens
but I
every
think
year
if they
with the
yeah, I feel like
certain
he'll come back
manufacturer.
next year and have things figured out, and they'll all 4 of the Hendrick cars and
Another thing is
the
we have
rest
a
of Chevrolets will
long
be
ass
back in
season.
contention.
So
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, they may be struggling now, but who's to say they're going to struggle 5 weeks from now?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm
Only about halfway through.
ready to see that. I'm ready to see. I mean, it's tough on Alex Bowman and William Byron. You know, being that they're in. You know, they're having a rough time with the manufacturer right now not being completely up to par. And I'm a Chevy guy, so it's hard for me to say that. But you know, I guess that definitely doesn't help their rookie abilities. Well, not Alex's rookie ability, but because he's not a rookie. I just feel like he is all the time. But Williams had some pretty. He had a top 10 or so this year.
I think that was Phoenix.
Yeah.
He made the
They-
top
he's-
12 in qualifying and ran up. He led a few laps.
They struggled.
Yeah.
I think.
It's kind of to be expected.
Yeah. Well, I think people expect him to excel, and Hendrick as an organization has been behind. Chevrolet as a manufacturer has been behind this year.
Mhm.
So stepping into that
They
definitely
have,
didn't
what,
help.
just one win, Daytona, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
They'll turn it around.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
It happens every year.
It's only a
There's-
matter of time.
manufacturers go through phases, but
Same
It's
thing
just-
that happened to Ford a couple years ago. I mean,
it's crazy that Harvick has 5 wins already.
48 and 42 due. Yeah,
42, yeah, he's
42
due
for
one.
sure.
Yeah, he'll get a win.
Still, I
very
think
soon.
Chevrolet. He's gonna have to win somewhere that he's just good at. I think
Like-
right now,
Yeah.
but
I don't know. Who knows what happens, but
let's give this stuff away.
yeah, it'd be a good time to give away the Roush Yates hat with Robert Yates and Doug Yates' signature, as well as the Wilkesboro Richard Petty diecast. And we have a random name generator here. So we are going to. I gotta fire this thing up, but let's see here. I'm not sure exactly how we do this, But it looks like, I don't know. Y'all talk about something else. I gotta figure this out first.
Okay, so the first name that pops up to the top, that's gonna be the winner.
Well, I'm trying to.
Hold on. Go back.
I don't know how to.
Go out of that.
That's where it's at.
I know. Just go out of that.
Oh.
And scroll down.
That was the comment. We're trying to. You got to type in every name here, so it takes a minute, but I'm gonna let you pick one.
In the meantime,
not
you
pick
can
one,
check out
but-
my Twitter giveaway, giving away a victory.
Yeah,
giving away a victory
that's right.
lane hat.
Yeah, promote yourself a little bit.
Giving
You're
giving away a
hero
victory
cards.
lane hat that's signed and autographed, and 2 autographed hero cards from our South Boston.
Where's the other piece we're giving away?
Yeah, bring that thing out.
All right, so this is a big one. This is a Windshield Deep giveaway. We had to do something unique for you guys, so we got a.
Oh no!
Sorry.
One
about
of the
ears,
5
everyone.
race cars Anthony's wrecked this year.
We've got 3. We've got
Fender.
a piece of the fender from the K&N Pro Series car.
Freshly sawzalled.
Freshly,
Yep.
yep.
Actually, it wasn't Sawzall. It was sizzles.
It's nice
Sheet
crack
metal
here.
cutting scissors. So
You really worked the forearms then.
Yeah.
yeah, Landon couldn't get it done, so I had to step up to the plate.
Left or right, Anthony? Which one did you use to cut it?
Right.
All right. I'm going to announce the winner.
All right, announce it.
Actually, I had to use both kind of.
Jason Mundy. Jason Mundy, you have won the Roush Yates autographed hat, as well as the diecast car, little bitty one. What is it? 64s.
164.
Yeah.
We had 40 people enter, so
Yeah.
Jason enters every single one of my contests.
Really?
He hasn't won yet. And
Perfect. That
it's
worked
your
out
damn
great
lucky
then.
day, bud. Look at that.
Jason Mundy has won. Not sure if he's in here yet. I gotta pull that back up. But anyway, yeah, Jason Mundy has won the diecast and the Roush Yates hat. But if you want to win this fender, which is currently being autographed,
Freshly signed.
Go ahead, sign her in.
yeah, go ahead and sign her up, man. From his
Try not to smack Mike this time.
which one? Where did that come off of?
Smyrna.
The Smyrna.
Yeah, this is new Smyrna.
This is a debut
This is
car.
my this is
This is
my
a so
K&N
this
Pro
could be
Series
worth
debut.
something.
So
Yeah, so this could be big
hopefully,
stuff here.
hopefully one day it's worth something.
Yeah, that's
brought
that's the
home-
goal.
A chunk of the wall paint also in a baggie. That we hit.
Yes.
Mm.
We're not giving that away, though.
So he's signing this right now. We're going to give this away similar to how we did last week. We're going to post it, and all you got to do is share it, tag 2 friends, and make sure you like our page. So as long as you got all that, you fit the requirements, and we put you in the name deal and hit a button, and there she blows. You are the winner like this week, which is Jason Mundy, which looks like, is that him there? Yep.
Man, look at that. That's a big autograph.
Goodness. Draw some noodles, man.
Beautiful.
No noodles? No noodles.
All right.
But so we gave away everything, so that's good. This
Chris?
is now in possession of Mr. Jason Mundy.
Chris wants to know, what is everyone's plans for racing this year? Well, I'll let Dylan start. Even though, if you watch every week, you probably have a good idea, but we'll briefly.
As of right now, I'm just gonna race at Hickory, and maybe you do a couple one-offs at if there's a big race here and there for limiteds or late model stocks. I might dabble around in that, but for the most part, just gonna run some limiteds at Hickory and try to save some money and still have some good racing, and then maybe run a couple of the bigger races, like I said. So that's my plans. Nothing crazy, just racing on the budget, but having fun doing it. That's the main thing. About you?
I am racing my late model at Hickory this weekend, maybe. It was twins, and I really wanted to race twins because I wanted to bring home 2 trophies. But I don't know if my race car will last 100 laps. So I might try to race it this weekend. I don't know yet. Other than that, we're going to try to do some truck stuff this year. I don't have anything set in stone yet, but I do have some pretty big stuff we're working on. So stay tuned to my Landon Huffman Racing Facebook page, and hopefully we'll have some news for you soon on there. And then, Anthony, what about you?
So right now, full-time in the K&N Pro Series East, about a quarter way through the season with that, and working to try and put together some deals and build some new marketing relationships, so hopefully we can run some ARCA Racing Series races as well, hopefully get some mile-and-a-half experience, which would help me a lot.
Absolutely. What about a super speedway track? That'd be cool too. You said you're 19, so you're eligible for that now.
Yeah.
Which I guess you get eligible for that when you're 18.
Yeah. I believe you still have to test though. For me, I haven't ran
Everyone
until
has
I
to
run
test.
1 mile. I won't be approved for a mile and a half or anything like that yet.
So once you run New Hampshire, will you be approved for?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to run. Oh dang! You have to run. In order to run a super speedway for ARCA, you have to do a test somewhere. It doesn't matter what you've ran. That's just our policy.
Which is a good policy, in my opinion.
Absolutely. They should consider doing that at some local short
I think
tracks.
who was it this year who
He'd never raced in his life. He was just a
that he experienced
for
driver
Wintron,
and
yeah.
he went to the test and went and raced.
He was a Richard Petty Racing Experience driver, and he got approved. Never ran a competitive race in his life. All he's done is Richard Petty driving experience, and he got approved by ARCA to race Talladega.
Holy shit!
Coming at you.
Or Daytona.
No, that was Daytona. Was the
Yeah,
opener.
he crashed hard.
Yeah, on like lap 10.
Yeah, he got
20,
out, and I'm
whatever the first
He
wreck
was so
was.
happy
in it.
waving to the crowd. I told Anthony we were watching. I'm like, dude, that guy
That was the highlight of his life.
happy right now. Yeah.
Highlight
He's
of his
like,
life.
all good, guys. All good. He's like thinking in his head,
Man,
man, this is it.
that's awesome.
This is the life right
I didn't
here.
know that.
It is
Yeah.
not the life. Trust me. When you tear up stuff, it does not feel that good. Maybe in your first and only race, but
Yeah, that's pretty wild. I did not know of that. I ain't got no glasses on, so you're gonna have to do some reading over there.
No,
there's
Jarrett
any
wanted to know if my ARCA deal for Charlotte panned out. No, I won't be at ARCA Charlotte. I will be there in the pits, but I won't be driving anything.
He'll be there signing autographs.
Yeah. There is one lady that always chases me down. She goes to all the short track races, and she has like a booklet of all the short track drivers ever.
Wow.
And she always gets me to sign something and then goes straight over to my dad and has him sign about 4 things. So
Yeah.
I always get to feel like a hero for just a small second until that happens.
until your dad signs 4 more things.
But yeah, the first thing that I'll be running next will be the late model, and then after that we're trying to work on some truck stuff. So
Yeah. So basically, just doing a little racing here and there. Me and Landon's running some short tracks, and Anthony's running some K&N stuff. So just having a good time, pretty much. What you would expect. We're just racing. Being that our page is called Windshield Deep. That's
happens every once in a while.
yeah, we've done it. I've got Windshield Deep before. Brandon Setzer's got Windshield Deep before. Who got Windshield Deep this weekend? Anybody get Windshield Deep?
No.
You ever got Windshield Deep?
Oh yeah,
Have you?
we went windshield deep at Bristol.
Yeah, that one was big.
That was really bad.
That one bent the center section of the race car.
Fred.
Yeah, that one hurt. When I got out and looked at the interior, I said, "Oh, that makes sense." The way I felt. I looked at Landon. I actually looked at your dad, Landon, because Landon's dad's my crew chief, for any you don't know. And I looked at Robert and I said, "Hey, you remember the name of Landon's podcast, right?" When we were looking at the car, because it was bad. That was not a good deal.
We should have took a picture and put that on the cover.
Yeah.
Like
I got
1
some.
week.
I'll send you.
Windshield Deep. You guys know the name.
Want to make a sticker?
I actually took a screenshot from the wreck, and you just see it as windshield, safer
It was
barrier.
huge.
No in between.
Well, I believe it's about time for us to sign off for the night. Pretty good with our limit here, about 1:30, so that's what we've been trying to keep her under. But yeah, so gave everything away. We got a new giveaway. We're going to post right after this, and so you can enter by sharing, tagging 2 friends, and liking our page and the post. So do all those things, and you'll be entered to win Anthony's sheet metal from New Smyrna, Florida, from his debut K&N race.
Did you just say debut?
I don't know, did I?
Hey,
Yeah.
but
Hey,
Yeah,
but
the butt.
it's
It's not like me saying Tucson.
Tucson's worse than Tucson, dude. Or
What?
Tucson's worse than... I did say debut.
You
didn't
said
I?
debut.
I don't know why I said that. I was thinking of how it was spelled, I guess. Freaking silent T.
One time I said indicted instead of indicted. I felt like a real dumbass then too.
we all have our moments.
Well, before Landon gets indicted, we're going to get off here and gonna play probably some video games or something when we get home. These two's got to get up pretty early. So do
Yep.
I'm going to go do some rapping tomorrow. And you've got some, school or?
Oh, man, I'm done with school. I got to work.
Oh, okay.
I got work.
Well.
And then I'm not doing anything after that. So.
Alrighty. Well, thanks again to all our sponsors. Fox Outdoor, Carolina Sim Works, Dexter's Detailing, Blondie's Restaurant, One Designer's Wraps, and Carolina Custom Golf Carts. It's been fun tonight. But this is the voice of Grassroots Racing. Be sure to tune in next week, Tuesday at 8:30. Follow us on all social media platforms at Windshield Deep. And we will see you guys next week.
Peace.